Hey everybody, it's Andrew here. Welcome back to the channel. So we've got some big updates for seniors today, things that could affect Social Security and the potential for a stimulus check for seniors going forward. The jobs report just came out showing how the economy is doing, and I know a lot of seniors are retired, they don't really care about jobs directly, but this will impact things like interest rates going up, inflation going up, and those things do directly affect seniors, right? If inflation keeps getting worse, then things are going to cost more, and that also has an impact on COLA, how big your COLA ends up being. At the same time, if inflation gets worse, it's also going to increase our chances of getting a stimulus check for seniors and an increase in benefits. So this jobs report will have an impact on seniors, whether it's directly or indirectly. So let's discuss the details. But before we jump into it, do me a quick favor. Please hit the like button, hit subscribe, and share this channel with anyone who you think might find this helpful. This is a community for seniors, and my job here is to be a voice for you and be a voice for seniors to make sure President Biden keeps his promise to increase Social Security, increase SSI and SSDI, and hopefully approve a stimulus check for seniors in this next stimulus package. So thank you so much for your support. And if you really want to support my work, consider subscribing to my second channel. That's called The Andrew Paulo Show. The link to that is going to be in the comments of this video. And on that channel, we'll have some updates, but mainly we're going to have games. It's going to be more of a fun community. Every Monday night, we're going to have a bingo night live, so you can play bingo with us. There's going to be a live chat, things like that. So it's going to be a fun channel, and we're going to be giving away some stimulus checks there as well. So link to that's going to be in the comments of this video. And with that said, let's jump right into today's update. We're going to talk about the jobs report that just came out, how this will affect the economy, inflation, interest rates, and how all of this relates to seniors and the potential for an increase in benefits and potentially our odds of getting another check for seniors. So before we do that, let's look at daily trending news. And it looks like the Winter Olympics have officially started. And let me know in the comments, are you guys watching the Winter Olympics? I know recently over the last few cycles, there's been less and less interest every single year. And to be honest with you, me and my wife Sarah don't really watch the Olympics, but one thing I do like watching is the bobsled competition. So I think it's a fun sport. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you do watch it, what's your favorite sport to watch? I like the bobsled because it reminds me of that movie Cool Runnings. Kind of a silly movie, but it had John Candy. It's a fun movie. So let me know in the comments, guys. And with that said, let's jump right into today's update. So headlines are showing that the Labor of Bureau statistics just released that the U.S. gained 467,000 jobs in January, and that was a lot stronger than everyone expected. At the same time, unemployment stayed about flat. It was at 3.9 and rose to 4%. Now, bottom line here, what this shows is that despite the pandemic getting worse again with the new variant, the economy is actually growing really strongly. And surprisingly, leisure and hospitality, things like hotels, restaurants, bars, those actually had the largest growth. And we were worried about the opposite happening, right? We were worried that as a new variant came out, that we were going to keep cycling back and forth between like leisure and hospitality really coming to a halt and the economy kind of yo-yoing up and down. But this is showing that really that's not happening anymore, at least at the moment. And that shows that the economy is doing well. But at the same time, it's also causing wages to go up. So there are so many job openings. There's about 10 million job openings. And that's causing companies to pay employees more, give them bonuses and things like that. And that's generally a good thing, right? We want people to make more money. But unfortunately, that's one of the biggest things leading to more inflation. So as people make more money, they have more money to spend. And then companies know this and they start charging more money, and people are willing to pay that money, and that leads to inflation. So obviously, if inflation continues to get worse, seniors are going to continue to get hit the hardest as seniors live on a fixed income. And if that happens, really it puts us in a situation where the Federal Reserve, which is the central bank, is going to aggressively keep raising rates. And what that ends up doing is a couple of things. First, it's going to obviously slow economic growth, but what it does is it really puts a higher burden on seniors because a lot of seniors really live off things like refinancing their homes. So if you own a home and you want to refinance that to suck your money out, if interest rates are higher, that's going to make it more difficult for seniors. Now, on the flip side, the higher inflation gets, the larger your COLA adjustment will be. But unfortunately, what usually ends up happening is what happened this last year. Inflation came in at 5.9%. Then you got a 5.9% COLA, and then inflation jumped up to 7%. So usually those COLAs, historically, at least over the last 20 years, doesn't really end up being enough for inflation. So Bottom line, inflation's bad. I think everyone can agree with that. And seniors end up getting hit the hardest because they're on a fixed income. And seniors don't really have a good way of increasing their income. And quite honestly, they really shouldn't have to after working their entire life. So, same thing goes for people who are disabled on SSI and SSDI as well. So, with the jobs numbers looking so good, this is good for the economy in a sense. But really, what's happening is things are overheating. There's too many jobs available, there's not enough people to work, and it's causing inflation to get worse and worse. So, because of this, the stock market actually just recently dropped, and that's because they expect the Federal Reserve to raise interest rates even more aggressively. So, bottom line here, we're expecting inflation to get even worse over the next 6 months. And again, that really ends up affecting seniors the most. I get hundreds of comments every single day from seniors saying that their bills are going up, like their gas bill is through the roof because rates are going higher. Things like if they have to buy a used car, that's just gotten ridiculously expensive. Landlords are all raising the rent. All of these things are making things more difficult for seniors. And because of that, people like Bernie Sanders are saying that seniors need the help more than ever. Now, if you remember at the beginning of the pandemic, a lot of Democrats wanted to do the $200 per month stimulus for everybody on Social Security, SSI, and SSDI. And the reason for doing that was citing increased costs during the pandemic, things like having to buy masks and buy PPE, things like that. Well, increased costs have gotten exponentially worse. So those reasons are actually even stronger at this point. So although things are difficult with Joe Manchin really putting the stimulus package on pause, as inflation continues to get worse, and actually if inflation keeps getting worse, we are at a bigger risk of actually going into a recession. When that happens, there's really a bigger chance that we could get another stimulus check, hopefully one specifically for seniors, and we could see a stronger push to permanently increase Social Security, SSI, and SSDI. Of course, not saying these things would be easy, but these are the factors that really, you have to take into account. If the economy is booming, everyone's doing well, really our chances of getting an increase in benefits are not really high, even though President Biden promised that on the campaign trail. The more we have seniors struggling and we have, the economy going into a recession, the more likely it is that we have Democrats pushing for like stimulus checks and increasing benefits and things like that. So obviously on top of that, we also have the midterm elections coming up, and a lot of experts are saying Democrats should focus on those two issues to try and win those elections, because as of now, it looks like they're going to get wiped out by Republicans. Now, President Biden is expected to give a speech regarding the jobs report and talk about how this is, affecting the economy and what we expect to happen going forward when it comes to raising interest rates, and obviously probably take credit for the jobs that are being created and maybe give us some more solutions as to what he expects to do to try and control inflation. All surveys show that pretty much 90% of Americans want President Biden to focus on inflation. And one of the main reasons he's doing so poorly in the polls is because they basically spent the last year saying that inflation would be transitory, right? So kind of makes them look bad when they spent the last year saying it would be transitory. Now, the cat's out of the bag and inflation is really terrible. So even if they're trying to address it now, it already makes them look bad because they dropped the ball, right? They should have been addressing inflation preemptively a year ago, not reacting after the fact when it's already spiraling out of control. So we expect to see a speech from President Biden. He should be coming out any minute, so we'll keep an eye on that. But let's take a look and see if we have any updates from Bernie Sanders. We talk about it on this channel all the time. Bernie Sanders is our biggest advocate for this community. Now, whether you like Bernie overall, that's, up for debate. Half of you love Bernie, the other half of you really don't like Bernie, I've seen in the comments. But when it comes to seniors and those who are disabled, when it comes to SSI, Social Security, and SSDI, and stimulus checks, he's really the biggest proponent there is, especially when it comes to Social Security. And although the news cycle's been a little bit slow, we really haven't seen a lot of interviews from Bernie. He recently posted on his Twitter and said that as you grow old, you should not have to worry about how you're going to afford to keep teeth in your mouth. We must expand Medicare to cover dental, hearing aids, and eyeglasses. Now, last year, they were pushing to include all three of these things in the Medicare expansion. And then more recently, Joe Manchin pretty much took those things out of the negotiations. And really, the only thing we were still hoping to get was hearing care, right? So at the moment, realistically, we might get hearing care in the next package, but dental and eyeglasses really has officially been taken out. So maybe that could make it in the next package down the road. But obviously, Bernie Sanders continues to fight. He also went on to say that when you've got 1,500 big pharma lobbyists on Capitol Hill for only 535 members of Congress. It's not hard to figure out why prescription drug prices in this country are on average almost triple the price that they are in other major countries. Obviously, Bernie is also fighting to lower prescription drug prices, which is a major burden for seniors. So, folks, that's really it for this update. This job report, although doesn't really directly affect seniors, really a lot of studies have shown that one of the main reasons there is 10 million job openings is because a lot of seniors actually retired early because of the pandemic. You know, seniors don't want to go out there and risk their lives. A lot of seniors were close to retiring as it was. And then with this pandemic hitting, they decided, you know what? I'm going to hang it up. I'm going to retire and stay safe at home. So let me know in the comments. Did you retire early because of the pandemic? I'd be interested to see how many of you did. But this is really interesting because seniors not only are impacted by this job report, but seniors actually are impacting employment themselves because these job openings are really causing inflation, right? They're causing wages to go up because there's a higher demand for employees. Then wages go up, people have more money, and then companies charge more money, so inflation goes up as well. So really the fact that a lot of seniors retired early kind of to some extent is really contributing to this whole situation. So it's really interesting. Like not only is this affecting seniors, but seniors are kind of affecting this as well. So it's an interesting situation, but it's something to monitor because the more job openings we have, the more inflation we're probably going to have, and the more interest rates will go up. And if interest rates go too high, the risk of going into a recession gets high as well, which would then increase our chances of getting more stimulus and an increase in Social Security benefits. Of course, if inflation isn't controlled, that's also going to increase our chances of getting these things as well. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. I'll keep you posted. We're going to have a lot of updates in the next couple of weeks. There's rumors coming out that Joe Manchin is willing to do some sort of a stimulus package, but probably somewhere around $800 billion to $1 trillion, coming in at half of what negotiations were last month and really like a quarter of what they were originally. So please subscribe. I'll keep you updated. And to end this video, we're going to watch this speech from President Biden talking about the jobs report, what they expect to happen next, and potentially how they are going to try and control inflation. So let's take a look, see what President Biden had to say. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you on the next video.
I'm pleased to report this morning, but many of you already know, that America's job machine is going stronger than ever, fueling a strong recovery and opportunity for hardworking women and men all across this great country. America is back to work. Today, we learned that in January, our economy created 467,000 jobs. But that's not all. We learned that job growth in November and December over last year was revised up by more than 700,000 jobs. On top of that, 400,000 jobs on top of the 400,000 that were previously reported. This morning's report caps off my first year as president. And over that period, our economy created 6.6 million jobs. 6.6 million jobs. You can't remember another year when so many people went to work in this country. There's a reason. It never happened. Take a look at the chart. You can look at the last, all the way back to President Reagan. Look how many jobs we've created in an average per month. This is, it's never happened before. And look, history's been made here. But it comes alongside the largest drop in unemployment rate in a single year on record. The largest reduction in childhood poverty ever recorded in a single year. And the strongest economic growth this country has seen in nearly 40 years. Historic economic progress. And I'm proud of the role the administration played in this economic plan has played in the recovery. You know, the rescue plan that Democrats passed to get the economy going again, the bipartisan infrastructure law that's starting to get underway, rebuilding bridges, roads, highways, ports, airports, internet. There's so much more that we're doing as well. And my decision at the outset of our administration to buy American. It's always been the law, it was very seldom ever followed. Now it's a reality, not an empty promise. I made clear that when the federal government spends taxpayer dollars, we buy American products. So we can keep delivering more announcements like the one we've had in these past few weeks. Another way we're boosting our economy is by promoting competition. Look, hamburger is, up 4 times, fourfold almost, many places. Well, guess what? Meat processors or shipping, railroads, other industries are dominated by a few giant companies that control the market they operate in. And over the years, this domination of the market by a smaller number of companies, smaller and smaller, it's about 4 in the meatpacking area, has reduced competition, squeezed out small businesses and farmers, and in many cases increased prices, and almost all of them increased prices for consumers. Look, I'm a capitalist, but capitalism without competition is not capitalism, it's exploitation. So I'm going to continue to do everything in my power to work with the Congress to make our capitalist system work better, to provide more competition and lower prices for American consumers. And they're still going to do well. But that isn't going to be enough. We still need to ease the burden on working families by making everyday things more affordable and accessible. Look, average people are getting clobbered by the cost of everything today. Gas prices at the pump are up. We're working to bring them down, but they're up. Food prices are up. Working to bring them down as well. Look, I grew up in a family where if the price for a gallon of gas at the pump went up significantly, it was felt by the family. I get it, I understand. But these things are necessities, but that's not the totality of what family needs. They still have to pay for child care. They still have to pay for prescription drugs. They still have to pay for health care. There's more than one way to help a family when it comes to their standard of living. We're going to work to bring down the prices that are way up, but guess what? Guess what? We're going to keep strengthening the supply chain to bring down the cost of all these goods. But in the meantime, there's a lot we can do to give families a little extra breathing room. For example, child care. Families can spend $14,000 a year per child, and in some cases in this country, some cases less than $14,000 a year, for child care. Our plan cuts in half what most families are paying, helping their budgets, keeping millions of parents and especially women allowed to go back to work because they can get child care. Or the cost of prescription drugs, like insulin. Insulin costs about $10 to make. But for families who need the insulin, they're paying up to $650 a month on average in some places, and as high as $1,000 a month. Think about all those Americans out there with type 1 diabetes who need this insulin to stay alive and stay healthy. Or the 200,000 American children with type 1 diabetes. Think about being one of the parents without the insurance or the money to pay for that insulin. How do you look your child in the eye who needs an insulin? They have no idea how they're going to figure out how to pay for it. Think about what it does to them. Their self-esteem, their dignity, their ability to look their child in the eye. We cap the cost of insulin at $35 in our plan. $35 a month. The companies are still going to make a healthy profit. We can do that tomorrow with the stroke of a pen. But we have a generation of so-called, for example, sandwich generation. That is, you have a young child and an elderly parent and both need help. And look, we can help them take care of mom and dad and make it work. There's a program that allows us to, on Medicare, that someone can come and install a handrail in the shower so mom doesn't fall, to make sure they have what they need to live with safety and dignity in their home, pick up the prescriptions, make an occasional meals. We can do all that. So when mom and dad put their head on a pillow at night, they can have peace of mind that their elderly parents are doing well and their children are okay. We're still going to work on gas prices. We're still going to work on the food prices. But in the meantime, we can deliver that peace of mind to the American people and give them a little breathing room. And by the way, the proposals that I have out there, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year would pay a single additional penny in taxes.